So, welcome to the Battling Barrow gaming and another terrain video. Yay! Got it again, mate. Doing a lot of these so far this year. They say no project is ever complete, and for me that is always true, especially when making these videos. The problem is you can't just work on it until your heart's you know it's complete in your heart. You have to get a video out. You have to think about that it's going to have editing time, upload time, yada yada yada. So there are certain things where you have to cut a few corners on projects. I'm trying not to do that this year with the terrain videos you're seeing. I want them to be complete so I don't have to revisit them off camera, which I've done in the past. But that's what this video is about. This is taking some old projects and finishing them, finally completing them. So a few years back I did a Mordheim gaming board series. It was like 5 parts. And in one of the series I made a coaching inn, a blacksmith and a watchtower. Really cool pieces. Now I won't be recovering how I made sort of the basic bits. I'll put a link where we're doing the link. I forget which way it is. It's going to be up here, isn't it? Yeah, it's going to be there. Little card thing, and there'll be a link in the description so you can watch how I made it. And it was made using Hurst up blocks and stuff. What this video is going to be is then taking that and completing it. Paint job wasn't very good. The roof, I've got it here, was for Mordheim, so it was ruined. But I want to make it complete, so it'll be a proper village building. So yeah, that's what this is going to be about. Yeah, so I'll be covering this one's going to be covering the blacksmith, and I'll probably do the tavern in a later video. There's not much really to do on the tavern. What we've got here is a blacksmith, a guard tower, and here an inn, sort of coaching inn. And these are sort of based on, I think it's tabletop world stuff they sell. I couldn't afford it, so I made my own. At the time, I was really proud of these. I guess I still am. Really pleased with the outcome, but looking at them now a few years later, I'm not so happy with them. So I thought I can do a video of showing you how to improve old terrain, I guess. Just add some finishing touches. A lot of time my builds I'm out of time anyway, so I don't have time to do the little niceties and detailing, so good time to do that. So looking at these projects, I mean, obviously the first thing I want to do on here instantly is this roof. It's for Mordheim, so it's meant to be a ruined roof. I want to just make it a normal town, so I'm going to put a better roof on. But also, I hate doing roofs. I hate doing tiles, so I tried to cheat and use this model railway textured plastic card of a tile shingle. It was a bit too small, so the whole reason I want to do a blacksmith is I've got this Reaper Bones elf blacksmith, and it's going to be her blacksmith. She's going to go here. They're slightly too small for the scale, and they're not detailed enough, and plus my painting on this was atrocious. By the time I got to the roof I was bored. So the first thing I'm going to do is probably look at this and do the roof. But also, because it was more time, I didn't want to work in furnace in there, but we can add one of them in, do something maybe with LEDs, so that's the thing. Also, looking at brickwork as a whole, it's a bit bright, so we can get a wash onto that, probably all over, to be honest, even the wood. The guard tower, to be honest, pretty pleased with this already. There's not a little touching up where it's got a bit damaged with storage, but pretty pleased with this. I might redo the roof because and perhaps weather the wood a bit, add some moss in and stuff. But I was pretty pleased with this. The roof comes off, so you can get inside. You can see this being built on a video, but I was pretty proud of this. You can build it in sections and put it on. Enjoyed that. So I don't know what if anything, I'm gonna do with this apart from maybe wash it and weather it and roof. The inn, yeah, okay, so the inn, again, the roof wasn't ruined, but it wasn't very good. It was really lets it down, this roof. So again, this will be getting a new roof. But I'll probably just use this 4 dimensions, almost use it as a mock-up. Get inside. Probably won't bother with the inside now, because the nice thing about doing the magnetic modular terrain is I can use this for the external stuff, and then when players go in, we can flip to the magnetic dungeon tiles and set up an inside. Obviously a little bit of Doctor Who TARDIS Impossible Space, where it'll be bigger on the inside than the outside, just for playability, because otherwise you're working within that. So I'm not going to bother doing anything to the inside, just going to leave it. It's just there for looking good. The outside, what do I call this at the time? Oh, I called it the battling barrow. So there it is. This will hang here. So I've got to repair this because one of the hooks has come off. It's in here. I want to paint these hooks. I didn't bother. I just left them paper kit clip colour. I should paint them black. Again, a wash on the brickwork. And something I have noticed is the windows where I dry brushed are now no longer black. They're this weird colour, so I'm going to paint these windows black. And what I could do is just do really quick and easy tea lighting for inside. But yeah, first things first, the roof. But I don't know if this will be a multi-part video of me looking at each of these individually. It's just the intro, but I will be starting with the blacksmith, I think. Bit of touch up of paint there, but this is what we're going to be looking at first. So make the roof. So the first thing I'm going to do is apply a black wash to the entire piece, both outside and indoors, on the beige, on the brick, on the wood, just everywhere. Then I'm going to turn my attention to the roof. I'm just going to remake the roof, and I'm just going to use the old roof for measurements, because that was a ruined roof and I want to make a normal roof, and I'm just going to apply that to some 1mm chipboard, the measurements. Gonna do the same for the triangle peak here, which I'll cut out of foam core. And this end piece was wood, so I'm going to cut that out of XPS foam and use a wire brush to add in the wood texture. So I'm going to carve in some planks, and on the other triangle I Mod Podge to give it a bit of texture. But what I decided to do is to add a furnace in here, a working furnace that I'm going to make from a tea light, so it will flicker. I'm just going to make sure I've got enough room in here, because what I also want to do is add in some 6mm XPS foam as bricks around it. So I'm just seeing if I've got enough room, which I do, so happy days. Then I'm going to paint this tea light black, because I don't want to see any of the white plastic, and then make some bricks. Just going to sort of eyeball it and just use an old brick that I cut for, get the idea of how big I need to be, and just going to roughly cut them by hand. And I've worked out where I want the bricks, and I'm going to use something you don't really see very often on this channel, a hot glue gun. So now I've got a rough idea of how the bricks are going to fit in. I'm just going to come in with a hot glue gun and attach them to the tea light, but not to the actual house itself, as we'll need to get access to the tea light to turn it on and off and change the battery. And here I've just got like a lintel mantle. Anyway, this is going to be where you gain access to the fire. I'm just making sure it's the correct height for the blacksmith here. I think it is. So I'm going to also do is come in and draw in a archway, which will give you access to the fire within. Roughly draw in an arch, and I can use that just to tidy up afterwards. I've added a stone pattern to the lintel mantle, forget what it's called, and I've done the same for the archway, and I'm now just going to glue the archway in place, again with hot wire. Here is the chimney completed with all the bricks, and what I'm going to do now is make up a mixture of plaster, spackle if you're American, water and a wee bit of glue, and I'm going to put that all over the bricks, but also fill in those gaps. So this is like, in Britain this is polyfiller, you'll probably know it as better. and this will give the bricks the texture but also fill in the gaps and it will look like mortar. This is what it looks like when it's all done and dry. I'm going to put this to one side and turn our attention to the back of the piece now, because I'm going to need to make a chimney, which I'm going to make out of this block of polystyrene. The first thing I'm going to do is just work out the angle I'm going to need to cut so it stands straight up. Easiest way is just to put it in place at the end and mark out a line. Then using my hot wire cutter, cut that out. Once that's cut out, I can come in with a ballpoint pen and draw in a brick pattern. Just making sure that they all match up on the sides. And you can texture it how you want. Boulder, tinfoil, stone. I'm just using my thumb here to get some nice indents, controlled indents where I want them. Now I'm going to come in and make a chimney pot. This is just a wooden notice board pin. I'm just going to apply some PVA, and it's got a handy pin that will hold it in place while it dries. And then I can glue the chimney in place on the roof. Whilst that chimney is drying, I can return to the actual furnace and undercoat it all in black. The nice thing about projects like this is management. Whilst one bit's drying, you can do another part of the project, and whilst that is now drying, I can come in to the chimney and drill in a hole for the chimney pot. By the time I've done that, this part is now dry, so I can give it a overbrush of a grey. Then I can give it a dry brush of this tan colour called Ivory Tusk, and I'll just go over the entire piece, concentrating on the edges so to make them really stand out and pop. This is going to be quite a heavy dry brush, so I'm loading up the brush, driving off the excess, and dragging it vertically down the piece just so I really pick out those edge pieces, so the rough edges, and the plaster will really take a dry brush nicely. And then I'll come in with a wash and wash it all so it'll match the what we did to the walls. Now that's done, it's time to return our attention to the roof, and I want two triangle sort of side windows on the roof that will go here. So I've just sort of marked out two triangles that will cut out. Here I'm just working out how much I need to cut for the actual roof itself, which I've cut out of chipboard, and now I can just fit the triangle in here, which I will glue, but I'm just making sure it all fits together nicely, which it does. I'm going to use this diamond body mesh stuff. This is what I've used before plenty of times on the channel, making windows and so forth. This is what you use for a repair your car bodywork. I'm just going to cut out a little rectangle that will act as a window for this, and I'll glue that in place with super glue. Excuse my big pause here in the way of the camera. I'm applying some super glue around the edge of the triangle, and I'm going to glue this into the little roof piece using super glue because it dries quick and it will hold it in place. And when that is dry, I'm going to apply a little strip of super glue along the bottom and glue in some balsa wood just to act as a windowsill. And just going to glue the windows in place, just eyeballing them where I want them to go, try and get them evenly spaced, and once more using super glue so they'll dry and hold in place quickly. And this is what it looks like so far. looking good. But now it's the dreaded shingles. So I'm just using texturing tool, sculpting tool, just to carve into some cardstock a thick indent, and then coming in with a wire brush and doing a more fine pattern into it, as I want a nice texture on these wood shingles. And I'm going to cut strips out that are about 1.5 centimeters, half inch, 1.5 centimeters strips, making sure that the wood grain is going vertically on the tiles, and then I will cut those individually. I have done bits in the past where you can do it in strips, in one long strip, and apply it, but for this I really wanted the detail of loose haphazard tiles, so I'm doing it individually. A little tip is you can pick 3 or 4 up at a time, like here, and cut them quickly so you can get through the pile quickly. And then when they're all cut, come in with a bead of glue, start at this end here to begin with, and just come in and glue the tiles in place. When it comes to the end tile, take a shingle and cut it in half diagonally and put it in place. The next row, I'll put a bead of glue along the top, and on the top are the shingles themselves. I'll start from the other end this time because I've already got a angled piece cut, and I'll come in and just go across with the shingles, making sure that you don't have any that sort of line up too perfectly. And here it is. This is what it looks like so far. I just want to put something along the top, and I've decided on a lump of wood, so I'm going to use this old balsa wood strip here, but I need to gouge out a groove. It's very difficult to show on camera, but what I'm going to do is run a blade down at an angle and then a blade down on the opposite angle, sort of trying to cut a triangle out of it at this stage. But what I'll do now is come in with my sculpting tool and sort of gouge out that groove, as it were, so you can see better here. This will allow it to be glued on top of the roof. But before I do that, I'm just going to angle the strip to a point so it is a triangle. So there's a groove inside that's a triangle, and then on the outside it's more triangular. Difficult to show while you're doing it. So what I'm going to do is bung some PVA into the groove. Sounds like a Madonna song. And then also put some super glue along the ridge of the roof. This will act as a really strong bond to hold it in place. It will act as a strong bond, but it will also dry really quick, which is what I want for this, so I can move on. I've already done 2 of the roof bits already, and what I do is I glue it in place, but I push down more in the middle so it has a little bow to the roof. And I've just added some balsa noggins on the end here, like so. And this is what it looks like at this stage. But now what I want to do is add in some weathering to it. And I'm just using this old pot of camo green paint that's really dried out, so perfect for dry brushing. And I'm going to go all over the wood, bits on the walls, and paying particular attention to where it meets the floor, and it will get mouldy. Speaking of which, I'm going to add some moss to it using some watered down PVA and some green flocking. So we are almost all done. So it's looking at the moment, painting done, flocking done, but there's no door knocker on this. I've done a video on making doors, so you can watch that on if you want a bit more details, we'll just quickly go over getting some sort of door knocker handle thing on here, and then it's done. So to make the door knob, I'm going to come in with a bit of chipboard, apply a bit of super glue, it's probably way too much. And add the jewellery ring in. I've got more detailed videos on doing this. Once it dried, painted, cut the shape, just going to glue it on here using super glue. There you go. Doors there, about the right height for it to reach out, get in there. Yeah, that's it. So I would now say this is complete, repainted, light in there, like so. So that is it for this project. I'm now really finally happy with how this looks. See it here. I prefer the paint scheme like this, slightly dull. Hopefully you can see here, got a nice green going on the roof, so it actually looks like it's sort of mouldy. I really like camo green for that. I don't know what the equivalent is nowadays, what the new colour is called. I always know it's camo green. So happy with the roof. Really happy with how that looks in there. Really am happy. Yeah, so we're going to get some proper glamour shots done in a minute, but I just want to take this time to say thank you for watching. Like, subscribe and do all that good stuff for me. Leave a lovely little comment, and that's it. Let's have a look at the glamour shots. Until the next video, guys, please take care.